Welcome to the What's Your Vibe Show, a place dedicated to bringing awareness toward a healthier emotional lifestyle through sharing stories, studies, techniques, and ancient wisdom. My name is Norma Cardenas, and I am your emotional wellness facilitator. Hey, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the What's Your Vibe Show. It's nice to see you back, Frank.
Hey, good to be back. It's been a while. I don't know what happened, but, you know, these things happen.
Hey, how do you like my curls? Like my curls?
They're all right.
Never ask an introvert.
An introvert.
Only ask an extrovert. They'll tell you everything. They'll give you praise.
Well, the curl number one on the left side next to the negative one is curled just 90 degrees the wrong way.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Now my phone is... Okay,
now we're all over the place.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody, for joining us again.
Yeah.
For those of you who have not seen the ones before, we actually have 2 videos already done. The last one was about... introvert and extroverts, and we're talking about secrets of successful relationships from the introvert and extrovert perspective of the subconscious mind.
Yeah. The power of your subconscious mind. And since we are experts at hypnotherapy, we're the students of the subconscious. We love to learn about it and what motivates us and all that good stuff.
And now that we have some experience, because we have some clients and we've gone through some experiences and
several years,
we kind of wanted to share, like, why do we not know this, like, on a natural, right? So I thought that might be something better to share.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we had a lot of fun last time, giving more examples about introvert and extrovert. And I think we should recap maybe a little bit of that. We're gonna do a little recap on the introvert extrovert. Then we're gonna talk about thing that we touched on was the
cycle days.
The cycle days, the calendar cycle days for the introvert, right? And it give you examples of that. We need to talk to our extroverts, probably in private, and then so we can help you out. This segment is pretty much more about sex. We were talking about sex last time.
That wonderful thing that makes us wake up.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? How? What? How? Who?
So these tips are to help all of the relationship, including the intimate parts.
Yes.
So, and I think we're going to be able to focus a little bit more on this part, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to do the that plus the cycle days plus reminding everybody that we have a lot of layers to us. And
let's call it the pressure points, or not pressure points.
Oh yeah, maybe a tidbit on the
what do you want to call them?
A secret
trigger points.
A secret massage point.
There you go.
A tool that the extroverts can use. Right?
The tool that the introverts can use on an extrovert.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
okay. All right, we'll go through that again.
Yeah. Well, it's all over the place. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah. And then. So that's pretty much it. So last time we talked about the introvert and extrovert. So what do you think? What are some hints about knowing if you are an extrovert?
So,
what do you think, Frank?
If to figure out yourself, okay, this is more like yourself, right? You can't be going off in the world and saying, well, you're an introvert and this is why you do, just try to take it upon yourself first. It's going to be the key. And for me, I know for extroverts usually are running hotter. Extroverts really value a lot of friends and family. They value the connection they make with people. They extroverts are a little more flashy in the way they dress. They show a little bit more, unbuttoned, a little more skin because they're a little more comfortable in their skin. My extroverts, they really don't have much of a concept about personal space. They're always in somebody's personal space. They're extroverted. Extroverted, literally. I used to do a test, and just not a necessary test, but I just see what they would do. I used to put, when I was first learning this, I was like, I wonder how far I could pull back. This person's in my space, but I'll leave my front foot forward, and I'll lean back. And I would get constantly from the extroverts like, dude, your foot is in the way. I'm trying to talk to you. And I go,
but we have to remind people that we actually are introverts.
Yes. I just have a high extrovert defense.
Yeah.
So it can be very confusing.
That's the different kinds of layers that people don't understand, that, you come off one way maybe because you're in a certain environment, but really you're not. You're more a different way. Because at home, however you normally act at home, like if you like to just like have downtime or cuddle time or just be like in your own space for a while so you can rejuvenate. Pretty much that'll give you a hint if you're an introvert.
Yeah.
If you're an extrovert and you're at home and you've done your tasks and you're going crazy because you need to get out somewhere, that'll also give you a hint that you're an extrovert.
You know what? A big question I like to ask that really helps me more like in a core, like really find out if a person's introvert or extrovert. I always ask like, okay, I'll ask you. How's that? Okay. It's scary. When things are rocking your relationship, do you say, hey, I need space? Or do you say, hey, we need to talk? What's more natural to you?
Oh, for me, I think it's like, okay, let's, I think I would go the space route.
The space route? Okay, so that's more of an introvert. Introverts say, you know what? I'm busy right now. I'm at work. Like they'll always escape to work. And I need to go to work. Extroverts, do me a favor. Don't show up at the work. Even though I know you want to from past experiences. Anyways, it's scary. You're like, you're having frustration. You're working. And then, the person comes to your work and says, we need to talk. You're like, oh, God, I got to deal with you on my job. Yeah. So extroverts, just a little hint. Don't do that.
It could be a little overwhelming for
the introverts. It could be overwhelming for the introverts. And my extroverts, my introverts, when you need a space, don't stay away forever. Maybe a week will be fine, or But just to know that extrovert is going crazy, and you got to be nice to them. Okay.
Yeah, because it's taken from the extrovert point of view. If the introvert says, "Look, I need some space," that right away raises a red flag for the extrovert, and usually it's like it's taken really deep, like a rejection.
Yes.
So. You're hurting the other person, and
you are.
If you know more about your partner, and and for the most part, people do care and they want to work it out.
For the most part.
So sometimes that adds fire to the fire.
Yes.
So to know these little tips about, an extrovert or introvert, and pretty much from the clients that I have seen personally, that it does kind of run true about being attracted to the opposite.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
The more you know about yourself, the more you understand how you take in information, and how maybe it just seems like, things can be overwhelming, or how maybe nobody's listening to you, or it might even feel very like constantly being rejected. So the more you know about yourself and how you take in the information, you'll know which you tend to be. And that just gives you an awareness that it's not really that the other person is doing things on purpose for you, to you, but it's just that's how they're delivering information.
The dynamic.
And that's how you're taking in information.
One thing I know people always ask me when I say, it's good, opposite attracts, and they usually last longer. But they always ask me is, okay, what if you get two extroverts that get together? And what does that detail? Or what do you get two introverts that get together? I'll tell about the extroverts if you want to talk about the introverts.
Okay.
All right. So if you get two extroverts that get together, they have, how you say, like the honeymoon stage is like a fire, right? They constantly are having sex. They have amazing sex too. The thing is like as they go longer, they're constantly, for them to show love, and we're going to go talk about more about this later on. We're getting into sex. They show love through sex. So if they're constantly trying to outdo each other, there's a lot of conflict happens in sex, and not even just hanging out with each other, because they both like to be center stage. So they have a lot of butting heads because of that. And my extroverts, they will just light up and burn out really quick if they're together. But with my introverts, there's a little difference. You remember?
Yeah, the introverts, they'll get together because they find similarities in how calm it is in the relationship. It's kind of like it meshes with intellectual conversations,
right?
Because the introverts are all about, like, they're all in their head, and more of the intellectual part is really what the introverts like.
Mm.
So if you're with another introvert, it just seems to gel very well. But when you're in as a couple situation and you get married and you're working, the couple, instead of getting closer, because the priorities for an introvert is work and career, then they're both going to be on their work and career. So really, they're not going to nurture the relationship that long. It's going to become career oriented first for both parties. So they're working their way out of a relationship. You have to be very, very aware that this is happening so that you plan it out. It's not impossible to have an introvert and an extrovert and an extrovert. You just have to be aware that it's happening so that, like for instance, in an introvert, when you start getting too far away from nurturing the relationship, that you do on purpose plan to make that time. And then it could be managed a little bit better, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But I also know if it lasts longer, somebody's going to take a role of introvert and I was going to take a role of extrovert. And the nice part is that if you get two introverts, they have amazing credit. They save a lot of money.
Financially in tune.
Oh, very in tune. You know, the credits. Oh, yeah. They're
career.
So if you want better credit, give with an introvert, you know, they'll help you out. And then with my extroverts, they have a lot of friends, but no money in the bank.
Yeah, they could spend a lot of time also with the friends, and we're not all the time. It's just that
that's a priority, though.
If they're not aware that they can spend, they'll put work second or career second because they're trying to mend a relationship. This is when you get a little bit more it's all run emotionally. Yeah. So you might not be thinking straight with your head, and your time will go by trying to fix something that may not be, fixable or
Exactly. And it's kind of like when you're in it, it's hard. I mean, I'm guilty of this. It's hard to know what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with. All you can do is really focus on yourself and realize what you are and what's a good match for you.
Right.
And when you're in a relationship, a lot could go wrong, a lot could go right. It's how we perceive and how we react. Nothing's perfect. And I'm definitely guilty of that.
I think we all are.
We definitely are.
Yeah,
definitely are.
And once you know this about yourself and you understand it better, it goes into all aspects of your relationships. In your friends, you'll find out that you've attracted, maybe if you're an introvert, you've attracted a lot of extroverts around you. You have some friends that will just keep wanting to pull you out into doing some things because normally you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And, thank God, because then introverts would stay home.
You know what what my introverts like to do? They like to hire my extroverts. And what I mean by that is not by paying them, but they'll like, hey, man, you like to go to that, since extroverts are so outgoing, an introvert will say, you know what, if I get so-and-so to go, we'll have a better time. Things will be a lot louder. You know what? Hey, man, what are you doing? I'm driving if you want to go.
Yeah.
My introverts know how to enhance that, I guess you might say, which is really interesting because sometimes I'll do it. I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to be an extrovert there. And hey, what are you doing, bro? I'll drive.
Yeah. So once you know that about yourself, I think that's how we manage it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And know your days that you're not feeling that much more of an extrovert.
That's a good point. That's a good segue into
yes.
Talking about the calendar cycles for is it the introvert?
It's for the introvert, but for the extrovert to know.
So how do we do this?
Well, first, I forgot, we didn't tell everybody our emails, how to contact us. In the beginning.
Let's do some housekeeping.
Yeah, some housekeeping first. We just jumped straight into it.
So, Frank, why don't you say what your company is?
All right. So my company is Finding Life's Compass. I am a certified hypnotherapist specializing in communication, office and work communication, and relationships, and a lot of work with children with learning disabilities too. If you want to contact me, you can contact me through my website, Finding Life's Compass, or my email, which is frankw.banos@findinglifescompass.
And my name is Norma Cardenas, and I am a certified hypnotherapist. I work a lot with more on the stress reduction theme, helping people to reconnect back to themselves and understand what their awarenesses are, or where to put their awareness so that they can enhance their lifestyle and how they feel. I do relationship strategies, but we don't do like the the couple relationship strategy. We got to do that because our licenses don't call for that kind of therapy. We do one at a time. We encourage them to share all this information, but we do the relationship strategies. I also do. I do more. I do also do parenting information. I also have had 4 children. I'm from the ages of 33 to 19. And so many different experiences there.
I can imagine.
Because I've made so many mistakes, I think I can actually answer any questions you need. So that's part of it. And my contact information is Norma at normacardenas.com. And I also have a Facebook page, and you can go to What's Your Vibe Facebook page. So I end up putting a lot more tips in there and anything that I find that would be useful for people to have a better, wellness experience. So then that's pretty much why we started this. We just wanted to share our secrets, actually,
basically
from our training, for this stuff, because we always talk about this. Like, it's too bad that it's not really incorporated in the norm of education as people grow up. I think we could have. Prohibited, prevented a bunch of divorces and communication problems and things like that. So since Frank and I already went to training, we're going to start sharing some stuff, and
some deep stuff.
Yeah.
Get ready.
So with this one, like I said, we did we did 2 already videos, and the first one was about all sorts of stuff that we wanted to talk about. The second one, we narrowed it down to the introvert extrovert examples, and then this one we just want to. And we might close it off with this one, but and that way, if you have any questions, you want to do anything more, you can send us also questions to info@whatsyourvibeshow.com, and then we'll answer you back. We've been getting some questions; it's pretty good, and that way we can make it interactive, and then maybe later we can actually take live phone calls.
Ooh, that'd
think?
Be fun.
That would be fun to do it on live.
But definitely to put it out there.
We're just getting used to it ourselves, so I don't know if we can handle a phone call and all this and keep.
We'll try it though. We'll try. No big deal. We could do it all.
So that was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the housekeeping part. I don't think I've missed anything else.
What's your FICO score? I don't know. I was looking at mine recently, so that's why it's in my head. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
All right, that's good. That's good to know.
So my introvert's like, good credit. All right, cool, money in the bank. All right, we're doing good, man. Stay focused.
So how about, do you want to share any experiences that you had where, because you're an introvert, that you
I just got nervous. My introvert said, don't talk about your personal stuff.
Or examples, or maybe even a client that did that is an introvert, and they did something that was more extrovert, and they felt good about it.
The one that pops in my head, I think it's because it was like my first time experiencing it, is I have a cousin, cousin Mario, and I was explaining this introvert and extrovert, and I was just learning it myself, and he has a bad habit of just like hitting me. Hey, how you doing? And just smacking me, right? And I'm like, I'm just going to kill him, And, but then I go, maybe if I share this stuff and see what happens. So I shared it with him, and I remember he goes, well, wait a minute. There's some people that don't like to be touched. Is something wrong with those people? And I was like, oh, wow, he's really a high extrovert. I go, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that personal space is really big. And then from that moment on, you could see him wanting to hit me, and he go and pull back. And I was like, oh, thank God that worked.
But got him to think a little bit, right?
Yeah, and it was nice because it wasn't like, bro, stop hitting me or I'm going to hit you back. It wasn't to get to that point. It was just me educating.
He's probably doing it to other people, and then it could be very annoying.
Oh, super. I
mean,
yeah, no, it could be very annoying. But, now that he's aware of. Usually people in my life, I don't like to tell them. Mm-hmm. I just give them information. Mm-hmm. I go, this is how I learned this. This is where I got the information. Please read it. I don't want to tell you you're doing this wrong, because who wants to be told like that, Right. But then again, if the person doesn't read it, then, maybe it's not the person for you. I don't know. It's a difficult battle right there. But that's been my experience. Whenever I see somebody that's, hitting me a lot, it's either one, they feel a disconnection from me. Mm-hmm. So I either have to face them or touch them on the shoulder, or two, they're just hitters and they hit no matter what. Mm-hmm. So it's just an awareness, especially when it comes to like career. You know, there's sexual harassment stuff, but it could just be that person is just a high extrovert, and you have to be.
That's how they connect with
Yeah,
people.
they connect. And imagine if an extrovert's at work and now he's feels like, I what? No, it wasn't intentional. You know, like there's a whole thing that hurts. You know, and then that person feels rejected, and now they can't be themselves. And but if they get educated in this area, now they're not touching people. Now they're just facing them. Now they're just saying, hey, can you just look at me, instead of like.
Because there's other ways to fulfill that part.
Exactly.
Of that wanting to connect with people.
Yes, very much so.
Just looking in their eyes and things like that.
Yeah. Connection is a whole different ballgame. You know, it's just not only touch. It was literally they're trying to pull you in the conversation because they feel disconnected. So, but I do know that for one thing, I know for women, if women are like in their mind a lot, if you do touch them, the whole focus goes there. So it does kind of help with women, but in the workforce, don't do it at work.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
But you mean like for an introvert? Yeah, because the introvert's in their head.
In their head, extreme.
And so, like as a partnership, or if you're helping, like romancing somebody and things like that, like maybe a touch to get them out of their head. And to be present in the moment.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing about the introverts is that because we're in our head all the time.
So far in the head. So
we need a lot of warm up to have a conversation about anything else that has to do with being present. I think we need to talk about the cycle days so that.
So they can just probably get into it, right?
Okay, so take note of this. Okay, so maybe we should talk to them separately. Okay, like this information would be very, very helpful for people who are extroverts.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So any introverts that are listening right now, maybe just like sit down, relax.
Sit down, relax, take it easy.
Yeah, take it easy. Because I think it would be more helpful for the extroverts to really kind of get this part.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And not that the introverts don't need it; they need it too.
Oh yeah.
Just for their own self-awareness, but this will help the extroverts when they have introvert partners, or they're seeking out somebody who's an introvert.
Yeah, you guys need to know this, man. It's so helpful, like in a whole new level. Like you don't get as now. One thing to make clear, so that my extroverts know, you have, and I sometimes say we because sometimes I'm like that too, but you have a big fear, and that big fear rules your world. Since you love people, you love connection, you fear this so much that you almost run away from it, if that makes sense. Like you won't put yourself out there because you have the fear of rejection. My extroverts are really frightful of rejection. And what happens with my introverts and extroverts, my introverts reject the out of my extroverts. Right. Yeah. And this is a tool we're going to give you in order to deal with an introvert in your life, in order to feel more fulfilled.
Right. And then it could also go, because I was just thinking as you were talking, how when you haven't matured too much or not have too many experiences with relationships, intimate relationships, how the extroverts can actually put themselves 110% out there and then get rejected. And then that's where the fear comes in.
All bets are off. I'm out of here.
Right. Because they got rejected and they just totally didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Because they're giving 110%. Right. Okay. So this information, we're calling it the calendar cycle.
There you go.
So for the, so how do you want to start it off that?
Well,
we have to give a scenario. Like if let's give a couple scenario. Like if they've been married for a while.
Okay.
Do you know that what kind of works?
Yeah. Okay, so let's say you've been married for a while, right? And you just getting to a point where it's all routine, or get to a point where they're just call it what it is. There is no more sex in the relationship,
or hardly,
or maybe even touch, or whatever you want to call it. When you're in a relationship, there is, there's moments where you're not going to be touched. There's moments where you're not going to be connected.
Because life gets in the way.
Life gets
maybe
in the way.
Kids,
situations.
Practice.
Worst case scenarios, something bad happens. And, it's just what it is. It is what it is. So you'll have a disconnection. My extroverts, since they show love through sex and you're not having sex, it's almost like you're how do you say, you're barren, you know, like there's no life in you anymore. You know, it's you take it so hard. Now, the one thing about this whole thing is that since you value so much on relationships, you're constantly asking your introvert partner for some kind of affection. I mean, it doesn't have to be a sex. It could just be recognition. Hey, how does this look? You know, and the extroverts, yeah, it looks fine. My introverts didn't come on, say like she said right now about her hair. You know, like, well, it's cool. It looks like curly hair. You know, we got to give more, right? I did that on purpose, just messing with her. But at the end of the day, so my introverts have a certain a way of talking that need to be more expressive. My extroverts talk a lot and never get to a point. But on this whole notion about how to get my introverts to be more loving is my extroverts, you need to pull back. Extroverts, you need to back off from my introverts. So a little secret about the introverts is they don't like to lose control. They don't want to lose control in anything. The moment they feel they're losing control, things get weird. Things get bad. So now my extroverts could be thinking like, how is it that I'm making them feel like they're losing control? Like, how is that even possible, right? Now, what it is, it's this. And here's the scenario they're talking about. Is let's say, okay, my extroverts, they would like to, if they could, they will have sex at least once a day. My introverts, it depends on how busy they are and how life gets in the way. So if you have an extrovert is going to constantly be asking from that introvert, hey, how you doing? You want to have sex now? You know, like not necessarily like that, but maybe sometimes like that too. But for an introvert, it's like, oh God, you're always on top of me. You're always trying to control me with sex.
With the instigation.
Like
they're instigating.
They're instigating
it a lot.
They're poking and prying.
Yeah. So if the extrovert is in their head a lot and they have all this work in their mind, or they got to get to, you know, making sure that the kids are in order. Yes. And this is not gender bias, by the way. It could be that, you know, it could be the male, it could be the female. It doesn't matter in the couple, because if you have two, you have the two males or two females as a couple, there's always one introvert and one extrovert. It's very rare to have a long-lasting relationship unless you are very aware of yourselves, and it's two extroverts and two introverts. So basically, it's only like we don't even need to talk about male or female. It's introvert, extrovert. So the extrovert, like you were saying, pretty much are the ones that instigate. Because the extroverts instigate, and the introverts are in their head all the time. So then you get that kind of scenario where it feels overwhelming to the introvert,
yes.
right?
It feels overwhelming. It feels very controlling. It feels very. It doesn't feel good,
right?
Because the thing is that being an introvert, you're not always in your body, so it's like.
And what do you mean? What do you mean, like?
Well, you're always in your mind. You're always in your brain. Mm-hmm. So now it's like forcing somebody to public speak, and they don't like public speaking. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll like it once in a while. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I use that as the best scenario, but it's now just a burden. Now it's like, oh man, you know what? I got to focus on our credit. I got to focus on
our work or something, whatever you're doing, a project. Yeah. So the tidbit for the extroverts
is to back off. And once you back off, just get busy with something else too. You know, just don't take it as there's no lack of love or no lack of, just take it as you're busy, do something else. But what's going to happen is you're going to give space. You know, distance makes the heart more fonder. Mm-hmm. And it really does, trust me. But you're giving the person space to get reintroduced into their body. You're giving them space to get back connected into the body. Mm-hmm. So once you back off, the day that introvert comes to you to approach you for, let's say, sex or affection or whatever the capacity is.
And those are some of the hints, right? So let's say it's Sunday. Mm-hmm. And, okay, so let's say Sunday was the day that...
It's also known as Sunday Fun Day.
So let's say the Sunday you had sex, everybody's good, you know, mm-hmm. you're moving on. The week starts on Monday for work and the regular stuff and the practice and the pickups and the kids and all this stuff. So the introvert, remember, the sex is for release. And for the extrovert, sex and intimacy is for connection. Mm-hmm. Connection with their partner, with life. It's just the connection. So then when the next day comes, like Monday, Okay, so everybody gets busy. And then Tuesday comes, and still there's no, the extrovert starts to, ask about, when are we getting together again? Or do you want to go to dinner? Or, anything like that, anything to start instigating another getting together again. While the introvert is like, hey, I'm cool. I'm like, released, and I can go on for
a week,
3,
2 weeks,
4, 5 days without it.
Mm.
So in the meantime, you're going to have the extrovert feeling very rejected.
And every day building that rejection,
Mm-hmm.
building and building.
And so on the norm, from what we've understood on our training also, is that the calendar days for an introvert is like 3 days. So if you're past 3 days, that means that something hasn't been nurtured enough.
Right.
And so when there's not enough intimacy if there's not enough intimacy, period, the cycle days for the introvert gets longer and longer. Yes. So it just gets harder and harder to actually come together in an intimate way with an introvert.
Yeah.
So
when you
this is why Frank is saying for the extroverts, you basically have to back off and then find the signs of when the introvert starts to initiate some kind of affection, even if it's like touching the shoulder or getting close to you or, rubbing up against you. And those are all like actually just very faint, subtle initiations from introverts. And so the calendar days, is we're calling calendar days, right? Is that
cycle days.
It would be we suggest that you actually mark the day that you feel like the person is instigating something.
Make a prayer. Take a prayer and just like, hallelujah, thank you, God. Finally. Okay, I'm getting it. It's on every 5 days.
Yeah, so maybe the first sign of that would be like on Thursday. And then you compliment or just verbalize that action, that touch, or acknowledge it. And I'm talking about the extroverts doing that. And so then back off, let it go, so that there's no, so that the introvert doesn't get the feel that every time they touch you, that you're going to expect something. Yeah. Because then it's a lot to think about for the introverts.
And then, heaven forbid you're an introvert male, because once you get in your head, you're not connected to your body. I'm just saying. This is obvious to all men. When you're in your head, ain't nothing gonna work. All the respect. Just it is what it is. It's
right.
just we get in our head.
It's not gender biased, and it happens that way. So sometimes you'll have like in a traditional,
also, a woman too.
A woman and a man. Then the woman would be like instigating, and the man doesn't feel like doing anything. And they'll feel rejected, but it goes the same way, the opposite, So it's really about introvert, extrovert. Yeah. So then, okay, so say that's happening on Thursday. Yes. Okay, you still have to back off, and you kind of have to let it pass.
Busy. Do something else.
And then maybe start to, maybe give them a call, say, that you love them, or leave them a little note, or suggest like, hey, maybe this weekend we can go to dinner, like, just to bring it into motion, because if that is the first day, then the second day they will show a little bit more.
Yes, and the thing is that, how about this? When you go for quite a while without sex, that oxytocin, all the
chemicals,
happy chemicals are building up.
Yeah.
And when you do go that it's like an explosion. You're like, oh yes, hallelujah.
Yeah.
But it starts to build up, and that's what you want too.
Yeah.
So even though you're an extrovert, you need it every day. But just remember, as you build it up too in yourself, it actually helps. It actually helps a lot. So just keep that aware. But the cycle days for sure. You back off, mark it in calendar, they approach you.
Right.
And then back off again, mark it in your calendar again.
And pretty much it'll work like that. Within those days that you're noticing.
Maybe give or take an hour or two, but
Yeah. Okay. So the one thing you don't want to do with an introvert is that when they're on their off days, okay, so the responsibility for the extrovert is to kind of keep track.
Yes.
And you don't want, the extroverts should not really instigate a situation when it's an off day for an introvert, because then the introvert's going to be taking it like it's a job. and they're not really going to be
In the moment.
in the moment. And then you will basically kind of anchor that experience to, it's kind of like a job. And so this doesn't actually nurture the relationship. So that's what we understand about.
Right. But there's also something that's very magical that happens. And that when you start backing off, and those days you point every 5 days, what's really interesting is now nobody's being rejected. Right. No one's losing control. And those 5 days become 4 days. Those 4 days become 3 days.
Yeah.
And those 3 days become 2 days. And now every other day you're having sex.
Or you can.
Or you can.
But you still, there's so many layers to us, okay?
So tons.
So
tons,
there, you also, you know, I totally want to recommend the 5 languages of love.
There you go.
Finding out how, you know, you receive love, how your partner receives love. Like I said, all this kind of information works. Like you'll find out how your kids receive love. I totally love the simplicity of how 5 languages of love describes that.
I haven't read it, but I'm familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were having a conversation in the car how I think it's because I'm a male, but it's rarely that I ever get a compliment. If I do, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. That's so nice.
Right.
You know? Like we just don't get compliments. It's really rare. And then if I do, they're like, oh, you probably get this all the time. And no, today's Tuesday, 3 years ago, you know? So everybody has their love language. What's yours, by the way? Do you know yours?
You know, I was trying to figure that out. I think I have a couple, which is quality time, for sure. Mm-hmm. And then probably acknowledgement, you know, because I do a lot of service-oriented stuff. Even though I put it out, I kind of want to.
You're a mom. You do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah. I kind of like it, though. That's my position.
Yeah, good.
Along the backside. So.
Yeah, very cool.
But
very cool.
So that's what we want to, you know, really bring out. So the cycle part is such a good key and good information to know that maybe you're, you know, that way you know about yourself. Maybe you're the one on the calendar day, you know, and you should know this. Mm-hmm. Why is it that I just don't feel like it? And, you know, aside from any chemical changes and things like that.
Or get, you know, make sure you get yourself checked out. You never know.
Yeah.
Something more. And I know, like, is it the pituitary gland can mess with women? Mm-hmm. You know, for men, it could be low testosterone. Stop eating soy, guys, and no more cheeses and milk.
Yeah, diet has a lot to do with
I love cheese.
Affecting how you feel. So, you know, it could either be very overwhelming or you just are just really in that disconnected mode with your body.
Yeah.
And so bringing in the nurturing part plus doing your responsibility to yourself about self-care, which is the diet, you know, lots of water, exercise, and changing it up. Yeah. Because if it's the same old, you know, because the kids and practice and the driving to work so there's got to be like something scheduled to just break that up once in a while.
Or plant seeds. Yeah. You know, you don't have to do anything crazy. You could just write. And I know somebody did to me a long time ago, and my introvertness was like, oh, thank God she did it this way. She wrote, I love you, and slipped it in my pocket. So when I got to work, I pulled it out. I was like, I don't have to say it back. What? This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. I like you too. You know?
Yeah. And those are acknowledgments, right? Those are affirmations and things that's their language of communication. And
so important.
Yeah. To break it up and go back to those kind of basics, you know?
Especially if you've been on a trip and you're coming back home. Send flowers. Send something, you know? Make them feel special because you got to build up that, you know, that if you're extrovert or introvert, whoever it is coming home.
Right.
You know, and they want to see you, not the upset you or that had to be working all day. Where were you on a vacation? You know, even though you're work, whatever. But it's that. But the
or even on the receiving end.
On the receiving end,
if you know that somebody's coming home, you know, why they left when you looked like in your pajamas, and then they come back and you're still in your pajamas. So it's not, you know, it's not really a healthy mode if you do it too much time.
Yeah. I know for me, it's when like when you're a guy and you go out, this is more gender right now, I consider like you're hunting. You're in guy mode, right? Survival. And you're just thinking about that feminine touch coming home to something soft, something that smells good. And you get home and she's in her sweats. And her butt might say juicy, but and her hair is all, you know, it's just kind of weird, you know?
But see, that's part of how you like to receive information, right? So and there's nothing wrong with it.
No,
there's nothing wrong with
it. It's amazing.
Because there's, you know, like I like to see nice things, right? Or it kind of in some kind of order. If not, I get anxiety because it's like, okay, we need to put some structure to this, and that's including like how something looks, if it's pretty, if it's So you have to know this kind of stuff. It's all intertwined.
Exactly.
And sometimes we've grown up with a lot of cultural things or belief systems that maybe we didn't get to express when we were younger. Yeah. And so then it's showing up in our adulthood and in maybe limiting our ability to actually feel free and vulnerable when you are in a relationship, especially when it comes to sex, because you are in a vulnerable place. And if no one has taught anything about being vulnerable, it could be a very scary place too at the same time.
You have to be vulnerable?
It's a vulnerable.
I'm just kidding. As I said, lock the door.
How much time do we have?
I don't have much more time. But the one thing that's for sure is that when you do this, when you do the calendar days like this, you're going to get back to a magical place. Yeah. A very special place.
Oh, that's bringing back the honeymoon stage.
This
was all about that. That's what we forgot.
This is all about the honeymoon stage. How to build that up again. How to bring it back. Because when you first meet somebody, especially if you're an introvert, you act like an extrovert. You're confusing to the other person once you become an introvert again. And then that's the honeymoon. Like, you want to be back to, no, you hang up. No, you hang up,
Yeah, that's right. Because you'll discover more things to talk about, even though it's because you're changing it on purpose. You're kind of being aware.
Yes.
So once you start understanding how the other person receives love and
interpret love.
Interpret it, or why they're feeling a certain way or not feeling a certain way, it will start to bring back those opportunities of feeling that like you guys are on the same page, right? About that, because you do have to find your niche with your partner, aside from all the chaos that we've created in life. You
gotta find your flow back,
right?
You gotta find your connection back, and this is one of the ways. Well, let's talk about now the introvert, what they can do, right? Because we talked about how the extrovert, they have let's say, not a responsibility, but what they can do. So if you're an introvert, come back. We're going to talk about you.
Oh, yes. Now. Oh, because we put the introverts in the back a little bit.
We put baby in the corner.
All
come
right.
Back.
So so for the introverts, knowing that you're most likely attracted to an extrovert, and if your extrovert partner initiates a lot, and you don't, because it could come off like you're being really rejecting, right? Yes. So the thing is that if you know this about yourself, at least if you're an introvert, you know that you're going to deliver the information a little bit blunt, or you're going to be in avoidance. Like, you're going to go to work, you're going to stay at work longer, or you're going to stay on your projects longer, because you just don't want to deal with. Like, you get home and you can't even take a break. It's just like you're on and you have to be on. And it doesn't work like that pretty much for an introvert. No. But when you know about this stuff, you can also do some initiating in a way where, hey, when I get home, I kind of want to do this, but I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. Can we do like maybe dinner, or let's go take a hike together after dinner. And you just start to incorporate things that you are also comfortable with, so that your partner understands that you are heading and you're making an effort to get together.
An interest.
That there is an interest, and you're also fulfilling that part of your extrovert partner, that they feel like they're connecting with you.
Exactly.
But you have to say it verbally. You have to be action oriented a little bit more, I think. So that the extroverts get it.
Yeah, that definitely too.
And feel it. Yeah. I mean, they have to feel it. They have to feel that you're being genuine.
My introverts, and I know we all do this. Try not to bottle it up. Try to say what you're thinking. Say it out loud. What's bothering you? My introverts, we have a tendency to really hold everything in, and then last minute just blah. I watched this comedian.
Just
to let it all out, right? Mm-hmm. I like this comedian. He was talking about relationships is like Jenga. You pull things out, you pull things in, and then you hold it back, and then wherever it's gonna fall apart, you start just throwing everything back, and right when it's falling down. This is really interesting. So,
Hey, so I don't know. I think we have maybe like 5 minutes.
okay.
Last time you had mentioned that we were going to talk about why somebody wants to be on top and so why somebody wants to be on bottom.
More sex. Wake up, guys. Okay. So my extroverts, I told you again, the way they show love is through sex. So they like to be on top during sex. They like to be on top because it's kind of like, I'm going to show you what I can do, you know? That's why
but it's like a gift. Like, I want to show you. I want to shower you with love.
Literally shower with love. I love you, you know? And my extroverts, this is how they show it. This is how they express it. My introverts like to be on the bottom. It's just they are cool with you going crazy. They like to think themselves more like the support of the whole thing, the more of the base,
like even the foundation.
Even the foundation.
In that point, yeah.
Yeah, in the relationship, foundation, money, right, house, plumbing, heating, and then even the bottom. You know, sitting on the bottom, whatever. you get it. But this is why two extroverts will have an amazing time. But they would just little by little, they're constantly trying to do each other, and they'll fight who's on top. Or if you're two introverts, you'll fight who's on bottom.
That happens. We've actually had clients
that you compromise and go sideways. Oh, right. Sorry.
So the nurturing of the understanding of that actually helps so that when you do have that kind of intimacy, you're going to discover other things that your partner likes, and then you switch it up. You have to get more in an experimental mode so that you can nurture the relationship. So when you come back together, it's remember with all the parts to it, like not making sure you're not doing things with your introvert as an off day, because then they take it like it's a job, and then you're not nurturing it. Yes. You know, so. That's why it's important to know the other stuff when it's going to come to intimacy.
So one thing I want to be, I know we're going to be running late on time here, but one thing I want to give a nugget to my extroverts to help my...
We have 10 minutes? Oh, okay.
Man.
Oh,
well, in that case. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to share, and this is for my extroverts to get an introvert woman. Now, it doesn't work for a man. It works for a woman. Don't ask me why. It just happens. But I know. Well, anyways. So one thing that really works is, so there's points in a woman's body that you can stimulate certain areas.
Oh yeah.
I'll let you use your imagination what area that is. But I'll. Why are you grumbling, Lee? And it's an actual point underneath a woman's foot, right underneath the big toe. There is a bone right underneath the toe, and that bone, if you massage it enough, it will stimulate a certain area of a woman. And that would help if you have an introvert woman. And it actually will help also with an extrovert woman too, you know?
But this is only for women, though.
This is only for women, though. Only massage.
They're connected a little different.
For men, it's... God, I get to keep it blunt but safe when I say this.
There's only one place.
There's only one place, okay?
And then, that's the way it works.
If you don't know it, that place will tell you where it's at. Just so you know, okay? For men, it's either you gotta like stimulus visually, because we're very, very into curves. We're really into things that just catches eye. This is why we driving on the street, we're like we whistle at somebody. We're actually
no, you don't. You do not whistle.
I don't do it, but somebody else does. No, I definitely don't. But it's just that we get stimulated. We see that, and actually, for some reason, we think, and we're giving her a compliment. But obviously, it's a little sexist and a little biased, and it's a little. Imagine you being the woman, you're like afraid for your life almost. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying is that for men, it's visual. Two, it could be a little bit on the brain side. You know how you talk to us and all that stuff. But definitely, there is. If you want to touch an area to make us excited, I'll let you use your imagination from there.
That'll be easy. That's
easy.
But for women, there's actually some more points in the body, and massage is really good. But like I said, you still have to know about the introvert parts, because even an introvert who is not ready to be touched, it really is like a turnoff. It's like it bothers you. Some people don't like to be touched. Sometimes that's what it is.
Sometimes you get really ticklish. An introvert gets like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
It tickles.
Yeah. Or even skin contact hurts.
Yeah, contact
right?
hurts. But like it's like think about it if like your hands are really really cold and you put them in hot water. You know how that's stinging? It kind of feels like that.
Well, that's another hint about the introvert extrovert.
Body temperature.
So the introverts are they usually run with their limbs are cold. The feet are cold. The hands are cold. And the extroverts run a little warm. They run a little hot. So that's why when you're like when we're in class, like half the class would be like turn up the cool, the air conditioner or turn up the heat down. And oh my gosh! So,
I just tell my introverts bring a blanket. You know, with my extroverts, it's harder to cool down than it is to warm up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I hope that this kind of information helped. If we got some kind of order to this, but we did go through the little bit more information on introvert and extrovert on our last video. We can post it. I reposted it on my Facebook, which is I think on my personal Facebook. Oh no, it's also on the What's Your Vibe Facebook. So you can look for What's Your Vibe. And you'll find the number 1 and number 2 videos that we did.
Yeah.
All right.
Mine is Finding Life's Compass or my personal page. I'm pretty open now. Like I used to be like, no, the personal. I'm all over the place.
Right.
Whatever works. But if you like this topic, guys, and you want to hear more topics, especially about sex or relationships or just getting to know strategies or just trying to get to know your significant other, we look forward to your questions and knowing more.
Don't forget to send questions to info@whatsyourvibeshow.com.
Yes.
And maybe we'll put some stuff on our Facebook just to remind of the little steps or tips.
Definitely.
On introvert, extrovert.
Yeah. And if you want more information, contact us personally. You contact me through my website, which is Finding Life's Compass. My email, w.banos@gmail.com. And do I give out my phone number?
If you want. Maybe they should just email you first.
Just email me first.
You're going to get all these
other phone calls. You know, that sweater wasn't good on you. Oh, thanks. Who are you? Lee, is this you? No, I was kidding.
No, this is good.
This is good. This is
all right. So I think that would be good. So I think we're going to close up this series with this one.
Yes.
And then we'll come up with some other topics. Maybe you can come back on my show and we'll do some more stuff.
Definitely.
What do you think?
Definitely. Please. This is exciting. This is so much fun.
It is fun. It is fun. I think that, this will work.
All right, guys.
I hope you guys got more information.
Love, happiness, respect, and relationships, huh?
Yeah. Peace out, guys. Peace out.